Hello everybody, welcome to the Crazy Coaster channel. This is my first video on this channel, and it is a top 10 coasters video. So, my coaster count is at around 40 to 50, because I haven't been to that many theme parks, so you might not see some big names on here, but I've got a very, very solid top 10. So, let's get on to number 10. Sitting at number 10 is Superman Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Great Adventure. We went here as a family vacation in the summer, and I was too scared the first 3 days because of the pretzel loop, and I heard how intense it was. But on the last day, as the last coaster that I had to ride, I rode it, and that pretzel loop, it is like nothing I ever experienced. It is so intense, and it's very disorienting, especially if you're in the front. This ride is the best in the front. And other than the pretzel loop, you just feel like you're flying. Even on the other inversion, it's just a nice coaster, and I definitely recommend it. Now at number 9, we have Batman the Ride at the same park, Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride is extremely intense. After the first drop, you get whipped over a loop, and you just feel like you're getting faster the farther the coaster goes along. And that 0G roll, it is extremely intense. And the pacing, like I said, it's just amazing. I recommend riding it in some of the front rows. It's just amazing. And for number 8, we have Untamed at Canopy Lake Park. Now, this is located in New Hampshire. It is a very small park, and it only had 3 coasters, but they tore down one. So now both coasters will have double the lines, but it is extremely worth it. The way up is so intense. The first drop is like no other first drop that I've ever experienced. You go over 90 degrees, straight into a loop, and you get some pretty good hang time on the loop. And it might be a pretty short coaster, but it is entirely worth it. And now for number 7, we have Batman the Dark Knight at Six Flags New England. Now, I had ridden every single other coaster in this park, and on the way up, I still was pretty nervous. But that first drop, this is a very smooth coaster, and the drop into the loop, that loop is so big, it's really like no other loop that I've ever been on. And then the corkscrews, they're so intense and forceful. It's not what I expected at all, and I like it much more than a lot of other people. Now for number 6, we have another floorless coaster, which is Medusa. Basically, Batman but better. Just like Batman, I love the first loop, I love the drop. It's just a very smooth coaster, and I love the corkscrews. But what I also like is the Cobra roll. The Cobra roll it's really weirdly forceful, and I found that it looked and felt very cool over the kind of like the entrance into Medusa, kind of near that part, and also the little mini helix after the mid-course brake run. It was very good, and my favorite floorless I've ever been on. I've only been on 2, but I love it. And so at number 5, we have Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. This ride is definitely the best for airtime, the drop, and just all around the coaster in the middle. Like I said, the airtime is amazing. Now the restraints, I didn't love the restraints, but it's still it still allows airtime. And the first drop, you don't get whipped over it, but when you're in the front, you also don't stall over it. And the first drop into that tunnel, I almost put my hands down. That's not something that I usually do. So, in the last part you feel like you're going so fast. And then I actually had the mist working for a couple of my rides, which is rare for me. It was so fun, and it was basically just a very solid ride. Next, at number 4, we have King the Ka, the world's tallest and second fastest roller coaster. I barely call this a roller coaster, honestly. Your brain just can't keep up with it. It accelerates you to 128 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds. That's as fast as some race cars. And this is all without helmets or goggles. I have glasses, which is good. But in the front row, your face is like it's deformed as heck. And when we were there, the day that I rode it, and the only day that I rode it, it was a day where the cars were going so slow over the top hat. It was scary, basically. I really thought that we were going to get a rollback. And so yeah, front is definitely the best. It gives you the best views at the front, the best launch. This is the most intense launch I've ever been on. I've been on 2, but it was very intense. And if you're lucky enough, some rides, you can actually get airtime on the airtime hill. So it's an extremely solid ride, and it definitely deserves the spot at number 4. Now for number 3, the bronze. We have Jersey Devil at the very same park. This was my second ride of our trip. Our first was Skull Mountain, and this first drop had me put my hands down immediately. I thought that this was just going to be a tame ride, but this ride humbled me. It is really like nothing I've ever seen. One of my favorite inversions is the first inversion. I don't really know what to call it, but I also love the 0G roll and stall. And the I believe it is a the turn near the middle of the coaster is amazing, and the mid-course brake run, it barely slows you down. And after the turnaround, the airtime hills, they actually give you really good airtime. Now I know that I just said a good thing about every single thing on this coaster, including the maintenance. They were running 3 trains when we were there, and the trains didn't stop moving. So almost everything was walk on except for King the Ka and Medusa one time. But really, everything there was like no one at the park that week. So I got to ride this a total of 28 times in our trip. So I know that this is an amazing ride. Now for number 2, the silver. We have Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride, I rode Superman before this, and I thought that I was gonna be able to do this no problem because I had rode Superman, which is 2 feet taller. Because I've already ridden a hyper. I stalled an entire day and a half at the park for this coaster. I was scared to death of it. But once I got on it, the restraints are one of the best parts of the ride. They're in snug, but they give so much more room for airtime than you could even imagine. And they're soft, and they have places to hold on. And the first drop, it is so smooth. And it gives so much floater. And the helix, you go really fast, and it is very forceful. So I would definitely recommend this ride. And now, for the number 1 coaster that I have ever ridden. It is at Six Flags New England's Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone is what I love in a coaster. It has everything. It has one of the best airtime moments on any coaster. By far the best inversions I've ever rode on a coaster. And one of the best first drops. If you ride this, you need to ride it in the back. It is super intense. And when you ride in the back, you get whipped through every element. And the first drop, it might seem like a small RMC, but it is much bigger once you get up there. It is just all you want in a coaster. I don't know if Steel Vengeance is any better, But the first airtime hill, like the tiny like bunny hop, it gives so much ejector. It's the strongest ejector I've ever felt. Not the strongest floater. That's Nitro's, but strongest ejector. This is just an amazing ride, and I would drive all the way to Six Flags New England just for this coaster. So, that was my top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.